So we start this week a new series called The City of God. It is an exploration of what the Scriptures say about heaven. You've heard a lot of things over the years about heaven, that heaven's up there, that heaven's all around us, that there are streets of gold, there are gates, the Apostle Peter is sitting outside the gates, and if you've heard a variety of jokes about St. Peter, there are many ways you can get in if you answer the jokes right, or if you get the correct answer, or all this. It's going to be an amazing time where we will be reunited with those that we love that have gone before us in Christ. It's a place filled with wonder. It is a place that we aspire to and long to be there. Some will say that they believe in a rapture where we will be taken out and taken to be with Jesus. Then the tribulation will come. Some think that we'll go through that tribulation. Some people are what's called pan-tribulationists. They believe it'll all pan out in the end and we don't need to worry about it. There's all sorts of different ideas about heaven. Some people think, hey, when we die, we become angels and we go back and visit people we love. Some people think that we fall asleep and we will all wake up at the resurrection and the renewal of all things. All manner of things about heaven. And so this series is going to be not exhaustive, but it's going to be an exploration of what the Bible and what theology teaches us about heaven. And you might think John 14, Pastor, is a really strange place to begin with an inquiry about heaven, because that's a text that is read many times at funerals. In fact, I've read this text many times at funerals as a way to bring peace and assurance, but it's much more than that. In this text and in the subsequent verses and in the verses before, we get this idea of what Jesus says in response to his disciples' concern and anxiety. And so I want to read it to you again, but I want to give you a little bit of context so you understand what Jesus is saying in the midst of this. First, John 13 through 17 is what's called the Last Supper discourse. It is all the stuff that Jesus said in the midst of the Last Supper. The other gospel writers don't go into as great a detail as John does. They have a shorter, condensed version. But John explains a lot of Jesus' teaching during that meal, during that very important time. And this falls in there. And right before it, in chapter 13, Jesus has said that one of you is going to betray me. Do you remember this? One among you is going to betray me. Or rather, it reminds me of a story somebody told of what happened that night. Jesus says these words. He says, one of you is going to betray me. And there's a collective shock and gasp. And Peter says, it's not me, Lord, is it? And Jesus says, no, Peter, it's not you. And James says, Lord, it can't be me. It's not me, is it? And Jesus says, James, it's not you. And Bartholomew says, Lord, please tell me, it's not me, is it? And he says, no, Bartholomew, it's not you. And Judas says, it's not me, is it, Lord? And Jesus says, it's not me, is it, Lord? Now, that's not in the Bible, obviously. That's what we would have said. But it is an anxious time. Into a normal Passover setting that they've done their whole lives, and at least 3 years with Jesus, this one hits differently. He says that one of you that have walked with me, that have journeyed with me, is going to betray me. It's unheard of. They can't believe it. They don't know what to do. And so as it happens, as he tells them who it is, and Judas departs from them, Peter stands up and, seeking to calm the situation and maybe bring some stability and confidence back, he says, you know what, God? Jesus, I'm going to go with you to the cross. I'm with you in this all the way. And in the New Adam translation, Jesus says, really? He says, before the rooster crows, you're going to deny me 3 times. You're going to pretend like you don't even know me. You're going to step back. It is unfathomable to Peter that he would do this. And so that's the setting. I want to go with you, Jesus. You can't go with me where I'm going, but you'll follow. And then right after that, as if sensing the mood in the room, Jesus says, don't let your hearts be troubled. You believe in God. Believe in me. In my Father's house, there are many rooms. If it were not so, I would have told you. And I go there to prepare a place for you, so that where I am, you might be also. I'm coming back to get you so that you can be with me. In response to this question of what are we going to do, how are we going to deal with this, Jesus doesn't so much explain the place, but he talks about himself. So the first thing that I hope we take into this as we go is that heaven is not so much about a place as it is a person. It's not so much about an arrival as it is the abiding. We are in danger if we focus too greatly on heaven with having this idea of escaping this world and all the turmoils in it. But Christ did not do this. He entered into it fully with his eyes wide open. He went through everything that we did. He suffered as we did, yet without sin. And he gave his life. He met his suffering head on, and God glorified him because of it. And so what he's telling them in this moment is, trust me, and you know the way to where I'm going. And of course Thomas says, no, we don't know the way. How can we know the way? You haven't told us the way. And Jesus very famously says, I'm the way. I'm the truth. I'm the life. No man comes to the Father except through me. Don't you believe that I am in the Father, and that the Father is in me? The words I say to you are not just my own. Rather, it is the Father living in me who is doing his work. Believe me when I say that I am in the Father, and the Father is in me, or at least believe on the evidence of the miracles themselves. I tell you the truth, anyone who has faith in me will do what I have been doing. He will do even greater things than these, because I am going to the Father. And I will do whatever you ask in my name, so that the Son may bring glory to the Father. You may ask me for anything in my name, and I will do it. Jesus doesn't give them a description of the heavenly realm. Well, when you pass from this life into the next, there's going to be a big white tunnel, and you're going to go through there, and then at the end of that tunnel, we're going to have a couple of angels, and they're going to take you, and so on and so forth and such. He doesn't do that. He doesn't describe the destination. He talks about abiding, something that he talks about 2 times in John 14. 2 times. Prepare a place for you. A home is the translation. It is also found in another place in John chapter 14 in verse 23 when he says, if anyone loves me, he will keep my word, and my Father will love him, and we will come to him and make our home with him, or abide. That word in the Greek means to abide. It means a home. It means a dwelling. And it occurs only 2 times in the entire New Testament in this chapter. It is an emphasis on dwelling over destination. It is an emphasis on Christ, not the place that he's preparing. And why is that important? Because if we focus only on the place, then we forget Christ. But if we remember that Christ is the one who makes the journey, who is at the very center of it all, it transforms our understanding. You see, God has always been about dwelling. Dwelling. In Psalm 90, verses 1 and 2, I want to read it to you. The psalmist says this. This is Moses praying. Lord, you have been our dwelling place throughout all generations. before the mountains were born, or you brought forth the earth and the world. From everlasting to everlasting, you are God. Did you hear at the very beginning? You are our dwelling place. He doesn't say paradise, heaven. He says you are our dwelling place. When God created the heavens and the earth, and He created the human and created male and female, God, it says, would come in the cool of the day and walk in the garden with the human. Because God longed to dwell not outside of, but within His creation. And when Adam and Eve sinned, and they were cast out of the garden, God covered them and began to work with them, not abandoning humanity. When Abraham sinned and went outside of the plan of God, God didn't dismiss him, but worked with him. When Moses and the people of Israel forsook God, and when Moses was going down the mountain, when God was talking to him, He said, "You know what I'm going to do, Moses? I'm going to wipe out this people because they will not listen to me." And it was Moses who said, "Lord, if you do that, what will the nations say about you? If you wiped out your own people." And so God relented because of the prayer of Moses. And if we get up from this place and go, Moses told God, we don't want to go unless you go with us. Dwelling. The ultimate answer of this, the ultimate picture of this is Jesus Himself, who Philippians 2, Paul tells us that He left the power and the security and all the trappings of the heavenly realms and of divinity itself. He put that aside and took on the form of a human and became a bondservant and came to serve and not be served, and gave His life and dwelt among us. In the Old Testament, Israel was in the wilderness. God commanded that they build Him a house, a mobile house, that the first mobile home in history, if you will. They would set up the tabernacle and they would stay there until God told them to move on. And that's where God dwelt. And you know where the tabernacle was situated? It was in the very middle of the people with all the tribes set up around it. God dwelling with human beings. Dwelling is an important idea and word in the New Testament. So we know that it occurs twice here in this passage. So the question then becomes this: what makes a home? What is it that makes a home? Is it the place, or is it something else? I've told you all over the years many times about my grandparents' house, my granddaddy and grandmother, and about every instance of us going over there and having an extraordinary childhood. And it was a ritual on holidays. Every single Christmas that I can remember, almost without exception, we would wake up between 4:30 and 5:30 in the morning on Christmas Day, and so excited. And my parents unsuccessfully said, "Go back to sleep." And we said, "Well, we can't." And then we'd call on the phone and talk to our cousins who lived at the end of the street, and "What did you get?" And "Oh, this is awesome." And we knew that we might take a brief nap, or we might start getting ready. We knew my dad was going to go into the kitchen and start coffee with extra helpings of grounds to give it that potency that it needed to be. And so he would do all of that, and then we knew later that morning we were going to travel to Rotan, Texas, 30 to 35 miles away, and we were going to be greeted by our aunts and our uncles and our grandparents and cousins. I talked about every Christmas we got gigantic bars of chocolate, and we got a package of white socks and a package of white underwear. Every single Christmas, without end. It was an incredible time. We would play outside. We didn't really watch TV. We would run all around the house. There was a giant mesquite tree. There was just an incredible time to be outside and playing. We'd climb up on that and jump down and play wiffle ball and build enormous towers out of bricks and do all of these sorts of things. It was amazing. But it wasn't the house that was amazing. How do I know that? A few years back, we had the opportunity to go to Snyder, and my mom wanted us to go with her and with my aunts over to my grandparents' house. They were getting ready to sell it and preparing everything, so we got to go through, and if we wanted anything and everybody agreed, we could keep it. I remember walking into the house. It looked the same. On the outside, it was the same. There were some changes, but same kind of siding, same kind of front porch, the rooms and the bathrooms and all this sort of stuff. But it was different because they weren't there. They are what made it what it was. There was no group of aunts and uncles. There were no uncles sleeping off the coma of food. After Christmas, there was no laughter. There weren't my mom and her sisters at the piano with my grandfather on guitar singing incredible songs. There wasn't the laughter of cousins. It was quiet. And so the home was not the same because my grandparents weren't there. Heaven is not the same apart from Christ. He is all and in all. He is the reason. When the disciples are looking and grappling for answers, He doesn't give them the place. He gives them Himself. I'm going to be with you. I'm going to dwell with you. I'm leaving, He says later in John's Gospel, but I'm sending my Spirit to be with you. And He's going to teach you all things, and He's going to bring to remembrance everything I've taught to you, because I'm not going to abandon you or leave you. The truth is that heaven is God's prepared dwelling with His people. What makes it heaven is the presence of Jesus. That's what makes it powerful. Dwell is a relational word. It's a wonderful word. In our liturgy in the first service, and many of you have heard this, we do liturgy before we receive communion, and in that, to emphasize it, we've inserted something in the liturgy. Oh no, we've messed with the liturgy. But the word is there on purpose to emphasize the meaning of dwelling. The communion is supposed to remind us of dwelling together in the kingdom of heaven. It's supposed to remind us of dwelling with Jesus. It's supposed to be a picture of this great feast laid out, the marriage feast of the Lamb that will occur when God has renewed all things, and there is a great celebration when the people of God are wed to their Lord for all time. And it is an incredible celebration where every person who loves the Lord will have a place prepared. We say, until we share together in Christ's holy feast. It's in the liturgy, together. Because that's the picture. The best things happen when we're together, when we share it with one another. We realize that the place has been prepared. It's a dwelling. I love that word. You know what made Canada so great is long before we went up there, Gordon and Heather had been preparing a place for us. When we arrived by boat to the island, when we went inside, they tried to take our luggage. We fought them off the best we could. They went into the house. They showed us where their room was. It was made up for us. It was prepared. They said, this bathroom is the one you'll be using. Every 2 days, they changed out the towels. In my house, you have 2 towels, and you just keep rotating them till they dry, or they get ready to dry off, and you're like, this smells bad. and then you have to go get another one. But they kept putting fresh towels out. They cooked wonderful meals around the table, and when we tried like crazy to wash dishes and to help, they would distract us long enough so they could be doing it. They would lie to us. Oh, yeah, you can do this, absolutely. But can you go sit over there, because we're going to wait a minute, and then we're going to go do these things. And then as soon as we sat down, they started. Tricksters. They took us to eat at marvelous places. We went on a 3-mile hike. All of these sorts of things. They prepared a place for us. But what made it special was they were there. They shared it with us. Dwelling is an important idea. And so when we think of heaven, when we think of the city of God, it's not so much a destination that we arrive, it is a place where we dwell. And the thing is we are getting a big preview of that right now. That's what the table of Christ is for. It gives us this picture of dwelling together. We think we're just getting in line to get a piece of bread and dip that in the juice and take it together, and man, it tastes good, and this is a great moment. But it's so much more than that. It is a picture of what it will mean to dwell together forever. And that's what heaven is. It's a person more than a place. It's the fulfillment of God's eternal purpose to dwell in the midst of His creation among us. May God help us to get a hold of that vision. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit.